Hey everybody, Eric here for with a weekly wrap up for June 22nd through June 28th. That's the intro on my channel. Uh, Monday, I posted a review for Chopping Mall, the novelization by Joshua Milliken. Friday was Spawn by Sean Hudson. Please check out those reviews. Reading Remembrances on Wednesday was May of 2007. And nothing extra. So that's what went up on my channel. Please check out all of that stuff. As for reading, let's see. I read Gangland's Doom, The Shadow of the Pulps, 50th Anniversary Edition. This was sent to me by the publisher. And then I read The Shadowed Circle number 7, which is a magazine, a little square-bound magazine, also sent to me by the publisher. And then Goddamn Graveyard Zombies by Lucas Mangum, not sent to me by any publisher. And then I read something else, but that other thing is the first in the mystery book bundle, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. For those who don't know, book bundles, I choose some sort of topic, theme, something. I choose 5 books within that topic or theme and read them all in a row. So I think the first one I did was books that have been made into movies. And then subsequently, I have done short story collections, 5 short story collections, single author short story collections. I've done novelizations, 5 novelizations. Now, I've picked 5 books. There is something that ties all 5 of those books together, but you have to guess what it is. I keep building this up, and I feel like it's going to be incredibly easy. As soon as the review for the second book pops up, people will be like, I know exactly what the connection is. You're not as smart as you think you are. And the book I'm currently reading is the second book in that mystery book bundle. So, again, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Let's see. Work has been very hot here in Ohio. And so at work, we were all allowed to leave every day this past week. We were allowed to leave an hour early without any penalty, not getting paid. So basically, working and getting paid 7 hours a day, but not getting a penalty for leaving before finishing 8 hours because it was just so damn hot. There's no air conditioning in the building. In our area, and I think most of the areas, that we have fans, but at least for me, as soon as I step out of the airflow of that fan, drenched in sweat. Terrible. But other than that, work was just work. Holiday weekend coming up, July 4th, which is on a Friday, so we've got a 3-day weekend coming up. That will be nice. Let's see, anything else going on? Oh, I forgot to grab a couple things to show you, but I'm not going to bother to get up and show them. But I did buy some books. It was payday, so of course I went to Half Price Books. I got a couple movies. I'll tell you the things I forgot to bring over here. I bought a couple of games. One is called Core of Discovery. I think it's a game set in the world of Manifest Destiny. It's from Off the Page Games. They make games based on comic books. Their first was Mind Management. Their second was Harrow County, which was a horror comic by Cullen Bunn. And their third now is this Core of Discovery. And I just saw they're promoting it. It's going to be a Kickstarter soon. A game based on Matt Wagner's Grendel. I'm going to back that if I can. But anyway, Core Discovery, it's a logic puzzle kind of game. There's a map board, and it's got 7x7 grid of holes. It's a dual layer board. And then there's all these maps. And you put this cover sheet over the map before you look at it, slide it in to this board, cover all the holes, and then you pull the cover sheet out, And now you can't see what's showing through all the holes, and you have to explore by, I'm going to go to this space, I take the token off, and I can see what's underneath. And there's logic rules. Water is always orthogonally adjacent to wood, and vice versa. What was it? Food is always diagonally adjacent to a teepee, and vice versa. And then there's rules like there's only one wood in any row or column. So if there's wood in this this row and here, you know there's no wood in or this column, like the middle of the column. There's no more wood there, and you know there's no wood in this row either. Anyway, all sorts of stuff. There's monsters you have to fight, and there's challenges you have to meet. So you have to gather resources, whether it's wood, food, rocks, mud, whatever, to meet these challenges. If you starve, if you run out of water, you lose. There might be 3 lose conditions. And then I think the win condition for the one scenario is defeat 3 minotaurs. And then the second scenario, you have to burn this giant plant. Anyway, and there's a couple training maps. We played one training map. I think it's a lot of fun. And I like the logic of it. You look at the map and you go, okay, this is a water, so one of these has to be wood. Which way am I going to go? Anyway, that's Core of Discovery. The other game I got is called The Adventures of Conan, or Conan. And one person plays as Conan. It's for, 1 to 4 players. If you're playing with 2 people, one person is Conan, one person is a foe. You pick a random foe character. And then if you're playing with a third person, that person picks a random ally character. And then if you're playing with a fourth person, that person picks another random foe character. You're traveling around the world of Hyperborea, facing challenges and adventures, of course, trying to get points, whoever has the most points. Everyone has their own dice pool. It's rolling dice, using them to do different things. Haven't had a chance to play that one yet, but it looks really cool. So that's a couple games I picked up. They're right over there. I just forgot to grab them so I could show them to you. Let's get to the books that I got at Half Price Bookstore. These are in no particular order, just the way that I stacked them. So we have Edge, Vengeance Trail by George C. Gilman. And this is, there's a number here, number 25. I only have 2 other Edge books, but these are, Edge is a new kind of hero and there is no one to compare with him. This is the 25th in a series of the most brutal Western stories in print. That's the part I was looking for. So these are supposed to be ultra violent. The difference between this and a splatter Western is the splatter Westerns, in my opinion, are horror novels. And the majority of them, if not all of them, have some sort of supernatural element. I don't think they all do, but most of them do. This is just straight up Western, but super brutal, super violent. So anytime I stumble across one of these, I'll grab them. It hurts my sense of completeness to have just 3 random books, but they're difficult to find, at least around here. So I take what I can get. Next up, we have Master of 5 Magics by Lyndon Hardy. A fantasy book, I think, obviously, by the cover. I read this years and years and years and years ago, and, it was on the shelf. I decided I'd grab it and hopefully reread it at some point. Our main character is practicing thaumaturgy, the lowliest of the 5 magics, but he wants to, what does it say? He aspire to the hand of the fair lady Queen Vendora, and so he must master all 5 magics. But there might be something else going on. And this says, one of the most logical detailings of the laws of magic ever to appear in fantasy. Don't know how accurate that is, and this is from, holy crap, 1980. So there's probably been more logical magic since then. But anyway, cool cover. Hopefully it's as entertaining as I remember. Then we have The Piercing by John Coyne. This is the terrifying new novel of unspeakable evil by the best-selling author of The Legacy. Now there's a paperback from Hell from Valancourt Books called The Legacy, but it does not have John Coyne's name on it. So I don't know if John Coyne is a pseudonym or John Coyne, based on a story by Jimmy Sangster. So is that a novelization of... I don't know. Anyway, there's a movie called The Legacy that we still talk about to this day because of a couple scenes in it. But anyway, The Piercing, John Coyne, interesting cover, seemed cool. I'm going to save this one, and this one, and this one. I guess I'm just going to do this in whatever order I feel like. This is Deadly Friend by Keith Ferrerio. Another fun cover. And I got all excited at first. I saw Deadly Friend. I love that movie. But then I remembered that the movie Deadly Friend is based on a novel called Friend. So this is not that. This is a dead kid that's going to mess with the living, apparently. But we'll see. Then let's go with this one. I was very, very excited to find this. I've actually been looking for it on, or I have found it on eBay, but didn't pull the trigger. But found it at Half Price Books. This is The Earth Strikes Back. Can't really see the title very well. This is edited by Richard Chismar, and it's an anthology of ecological horror. 20 authors. A lot of great authors in here. Who have we got? Norman Partridge, Poppy Z. Bright, Charles DeLint, Thomas Tessier, John Shirley, Gary Braunbeck, Nancy A. Collins, Ronald Kelly. Let's see. Hubie Cave, Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough, Richard Lehman. So all ecological horror stories. The one I remember, ironically, is called, where is it? I Remember Me, and by Thomas Tessier. And this is, there's a plague of some sort. I don't know. It has been a while since I read it. But basically, something is happening that is making the entire world's population forget things. And I won't spoil anything else. But that's the one story that really stuck out. It's actually this far into the book. That's the front. So not that far, but I always remembered it as being the first story for some reason. Maybe I've got that plague. But it's great stuff, and I believe I'm going to do a book bundle of eco-horror novels, or eco-horror books. This will be one of them. This one, I know The Bridge by John Skip and Craig Spector, and then I'll have to find some other stuff. If you have any suggestions for good eco-horror, put it in the description. You know, or not the description, the comments. You know how it works. But The Earth Strikes Back, so I was very happy to find that. And then, let's go with this one. This is The Fury by John Ferris, and yes, it's a movie cover. Regular viewers will know that I hate movie covers, but, you know, sometimes you just gotta grab the book when you see it, and I'm a huge fan of the movie based on this book. I've never read the book. The movie was, wow, John Williams did the music. I did not realize that, but it was directed by Brian De Palma. His follow-up, I believe, to Carrie. This movie was the first time I ever saw somebody's head explode. I absolutely saw this movie before Scanners. I even saw it before Carrie. So possibly, I don't know if this or Dress to Kill was my first Brian De Palma movie. But anyway, this is the kind of stuff I like. Definitely up there in my top 10, if not top 5 favorite subgenres of horror, which is people, in this case young people, with weird powers and secret, often government organizations trying to use them. So there's a guy and a girl. They both have psychic powers, and they're both being manipulated and things. As I said, I love the movie, so hopefully the book is just as good. And then finally, I picked up Second Child by John Saul. I had asked Judith Sonnet for some John Saul recommendations that didn't fall into the something happened to a kid 100 years ago and they died, and then a new kid moves into town and get possessed or whatever by that dead kid. And she gave me 5 or 6 books. This was the only one from that list I had not picked up because I hadn't found a good copy of it. But I finally found a good copy. And someone, I apologize, I don't remember who it was, in one of the comments on one of my videos mentioned this book. But it does seem to fall into that category. A lush, secluded Maine seaside resort, summer playground of the super rich. 100 years ago, something disturbed their play. Horror came to this village, and though no one knows it yet, the horror has never left. It waits for a shy young girl, outcast by her friends, by her beautiful half-sister, even by her own mother. She knows how it feels to be unwanted, angry. Soon she will know the touch of unholy terror and the rage of blood-drenched vengeance. Beware. Beware the second child. But who knows? I trust Judith Sonnet, and I've been enjoying the John Saul that I have read recently. So I was happy to find a decent copy of this. Excuse me. So that's all the books that I picked up at Half Price Books. And then today, just today, I picked up a couple of movies. I was very excited. They're sort of connected in a weird way. But the first one is The Monkey, based on the Stephen King story, directed by Osgood Perkins, produced by James Wan. This, from the trailers, seems to have something of a Final Destination feel to it in the way people die. There's a family curse with the monkey, possibly. I don't know. Haven't watched it. And haven't read the story in decades. Osgood Perkins, I've never watched anything that he's directed. I only know him as an actor. He will always be Johnny from Dead and Breakfast to me. Fantastic, funny movie with a great cast. But Osgood Perkins is in it. I did not realize that he was Anthony Perkins' son until Long Legs came out and people were just talking about Osgood Perkins. But Blackcoat's Daughter, haven't seen it. Hear great things about it. Absolutely want to see it. Long Legs, hear mostly great things about it. Few people weren't happy with it, but I definitely want to check that out. I know he's directed like 6 things, and I can't remember. One of them is an episode of The Twilight Zone. One is the girl who lives in the house, or We Are the People That Live in the House, something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't remember the 5th one, but then The Monkey. So very excited to see this. And then I was excited, even though this is only a DVD, there are no special features, and this was the only copy that they had there. But I finally got my hands on Better Man. And this is the story of, what's his name? Tell me his name. It's on the tip of my brain. I love Robbie Williams. Thank you. Jeez. So it's a biopic ish about Robbie Williams, but he's a monkey in this movie, and like his parents, his family, everybody else, humans, but he's a monkey. There's a reason for that. The trailers looked great. I've heard, unfortunately, it was I believe, a huge flop, but the reviews were all fantastic. I'm really not familiar with Robbie Williams. He was in a boy band called Take That before going solo. His biggest hit, I don't know, at least the one I was most familiar with was Rock DJ, and only because people, when the video came out, people were like, hey, if you're a Hellraiser fan, check out this video, give you Hellraiser vibes. Excuse me. But yeah, this movie just looked really, really interesting. And so I was very happy to pick it up. And you can see a couple of monkey movies. All right. I think that is it. I don't know that there's anything else for me to cover for this past week. I didn't really watch anything except Taskmaster. I always watch Taskmaster. It was Taskmaster Season 19. New episodes on Fridays on YouTube. This yesterday was the penultimate episode for Season 19. Cannot wait to see what happens in the last episode. And that's about it. Oh, my not brother-in-law bought me. He there were two of these at the store. He bought one for himself, one for me. I've taken it out of the box. It's already sitting up there, but it is a Jason Voorhees figure. The mask comes off. I didn't take the mask off. It came with an extra hand, so I popped the non-grippy hand out, put in a second grippy hand, so I've got him holding machete and an axe. You can see, empty box. He's right over there. That was very, very nice of my not brother-in-law, and it's very cool. All right, question for this video. The usual. Do any of these books interest you? Let me know about that in the comments below. I was thinking, let's get philosophical. I don't know why I was thinking. Well, actually, I do know why I was thinking about this. The book I'm currently reading, that I can't tell you what it is in first person. And the narrator admits that she likes making up stories about anything. She sees a person walking down the street, she'll make up some crazy story about them. That kind of thing. And I'm currently reading that. And then last week, the week before, when I read Last Night of Freedom, it's narrated by 4 different people in first person. Each chapter tells us who the narrator is. 4 different people in a stag party. And I started thinking about unreliable narrators and why do we ever trust any story that's told in first person? Now, some books, obviously, we have an unreliable narrator, or maybe not necessarily obviously, but I think if you're reading a Riley Sager, although I could be completely wrong because I've only read one, didn't enjoy it enough to ever read another one, but I think he's one of those unreliable narrator people. So I think if you're reading certain authors, you get the feeling that maybe you're reading an unreliable narrator simply because that's what they write. Excuse me. Normally, in my experience, by the end of the book, it's either revealed that, well, it's going to be revealed that this person hasn't been telling us the way things actually are. Either they're outright lying to us, consciously lying to us, or just simply telling us things from their perspective, and that's not necessarily the way things really were, or because of perhaps a mental imbalance, they're just simply telling us what they honestly believe to be the case, but it turns out that's not the case. Um, but then I was thinking about how, like, so much of like private detective fiction is in first person. The Spencer books all in first person. The Elvis Cole, first person. A lot of these, these noir stories where the hard boiled private eye is telling the story. Why do we believe them? Why do we believe what any narrator, any first person narrator, is telling us? Now, say with Spencer, there's never been anything, at least in all of the Spencer books that I've read, there's never been anything or anyone to contradict what Spencer has told us. Same with Elvis Cole. But how do we know? I mean, we just accept that it's true. Maybe I'm getting a little too deep. I did say this was philosophical. How do we know that what Spencer is telling us, what he's describing to us, is actually the case? And then I was thinking it would be interesting to have an author write a story, first person perspective. This person is telling us the events. This is what happened. And then we get a second story from another character's perspective that contradicts the first person. Not like Twilight, and then whatever the stupid one from Edward's perspective is called. I shouldn't say that. I've never read it. We have Twilight from Bella's perspective, and then after that series was done, then we got the same story, but from Edward's perspective. Stephanie Meyers, right? She's written the same story 3 times so far. Bella's perspective, Edward's perspective, and gender swapped. But I don't think that the Bella and the Edward books contradict each other. We're just seeing the same events from 2 different points of view. I'm talking about, we've read this story being told to us by the narrator, the first person narrator, and we accept it completely. But then we get a book from, they've taken a character from that first book that we read, and now we're getting their perspective, and they're saying something different happened. And I was thinking about how this might work with interactions between races. If your narrator is white and they have some sort of interaction with a minority race and they say it's gone this way, well, then we get the story from, say, somebody from that minority race who was there, who was a character in this story. They might view that interaction in a completely different way. And I know this is almost, and then I started thinking about Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Kind of the thing I'm talking about here. Tucker and Dale, if you're not familiar with the movie, couple of good old boys, rednecks, hillbillies, whatever you want to call them. No offense. They're just trying to live their lives in their cabin in the woods. Bunch of college kids show up, and through a number of misfortunes, some of the college kids die, and they believe that Tucker and Dale are redneck cannibal killers. I just threw the cannibal part in there. And Tucker and Dale think that these college students have some sort of weird suicide pact and that they're killing themselves. So the same thing from 2 different perspectives. Kind of what I'm talking about, but in 2 different books. And the main question again is, why do we trust first-person narration ever? If you care to, let's talk about it in the comments below. All right, that's it for this video. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. And that's all I have for you this week. So until next week, read more books.